Now more than ever, keeping up with the world means keeping up with computer technology and software. The PC Video Collection is proud to present this video tutorial.
Hello and welcome to this video tutorial, Learning Windows 95 Introduction. I'm David Cooper along with Julie Clemens.
Microsoft introduced the Windows 95 operating system to the public in November of 1995. The system is easy to use, fast, and powerful.
In this tutorial, we'll learn the basics of Windows 95 and how to maneuver through its main features. This will enable us to work faster and more efficiently at our computer.
And ultimately give us more time for other things.
In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use a mouse, the desktop, customize the taskbar, perform task switching, use shortcut menus, the Explorer, and Find.
We'll place a program in Startup, restart Windows 95, add a folder, copy files into a folder, learn to rename a folder or file, format a disk, and learn to use the recycle bin.
We'll install a printer, use Run, explain add/remove programs, and finally shut down Windows 95.
We've made a default installation of Windows 95 to our PC. We assume you are familiar with the fundamentals of using a personal computer. If you need to review, please refer to our PC computing tutorial.
We've provided a learning disk with sample files that will be referred to throughout this tutorial and can only be used within the application. Later on, we'll perform an exercise using the Windows Explorer to create a folder, then place the learning files in it. Let's begin by laying some groundwork for using Windows 95.
We turn on the computer and watch it boot up. The boot up consists of DOS commands since Windows runs off DOS. Then the Windows splash screen appears, displaying the Microsoft Windows 95 flag. Windows is ready when we see the desktop. If this is your first time to boot up, a small dialog box would appear on the desktop, offering a 10-minute Windows tour, what's new, and common questions and answers about Windows 95. It also offers online registration if you have a modem, the features, and system requirements of current Microsoft products. The tour box can be closed with a single left click on the Cancel button.
The Windows 95 desktop mimics the top of an ordinary desk, the only catch being that you wouldn't want to take a nap on the top of the Windows desktop.
The Windows 95 desktop is for file management and using programs by opening other windows and applications. The desktop is green by default, as we see here. On the left side are some icons. They are commonly referred to as shortcuts because they open a window for the item they display. The term icon refers to a graphic that can be clicked on to do something.
We can have several shortcut icons on our desktop. They help us quickly access programs or files.
We see icons for My Computer, the recycle bin, and the inbox. Your desktop may have more. The My Computer icon shows us the contents of our computer and lets us perform file management tasks. The recycle bin holds files we've discarded. And the inbox is used for looking at our electronic mail. But before we can use this feature, we need to be set up for electronic mail. On the bottom of the window is the taskbar. This bar shows us what applications are open and allows us to activate a different window, close an application, and arrange open windows on the desktop. Right now, there aren't any applications open. To the right side of the taskbar is the computer's time. Depending on how your computer is set up, you may see other icons here as well. On the left side of the taskbar is the Start button. This button is the key to any activity in Windows 95. Now, let's focus our attention on the white pointer. The pointer is controlled by the mouse. Wherever we move the mouse, the pointer moves as well. Windows 95 requires the use of a mouse to navigate from window to window and to make selections. The mouse is a handheld device used to move the on-screen pointer. This one has 2 buttons, although some may have 3. We'll be demonstrating with a mouse that has 2 buttons. Anytime we click with our mouse, we are referring to the button on the left side.
We click the left mouse button to select things like icons, menus, and commands. The terms select, choose, or highlight all refer to clicking with the left mouse button, unless directed otherwise.
The right mouse button is used less often, but is still vital to Windows 95. We refer to clicking the right mouse button as right-clicking.
Right-clicking in various places will display a pop-up menu containing commands used for the window that's currently open. Let's try this.
We place the white pointer in a blank area of the window and right-click the mouse. A pop-up menu appears. We'll discuss using menus later. For now, we're going to close the menu. Windows 95 offers a few different ways to close menus. The first way is to select one of the commands. The other options are to press the Escape key or click outside the menu. Let's place the pointer on an empty spot of the desktop and click the left mouse button. The menu closes. Now let's try a new move. We'll learn to drag with the mouse and to change the position of the taskbar at the same time. We place the pointer on the taskbar, then hold down the left mouse button and drag the mouse to the right side of the desktop. When we see the new position, we release the mouse. We can also place the taskbar on the left side of the window by dragging it to the left, or move it to the top by dragging it up. We'll return the taskbar to its default position at the bottom of the window. We can also resize the taskbar. This is done by placing the pointer over the outside edge of the taskbar and dragging into the desktop when the pointer turns into a double-headed arrow. The taskbar will stay, however, we've positioned it until we change it again. Double-clicking is another common use of the mouse. It can be a little hard to get used to at first. The trick is to hold the mouse in a fixed position and click twice real fast.
Double-clicking selects items automatically. To access programs or files through their shortcut icons on the desktop, we double-click on them.
Let's see the contents of our computer by double-clicking the My Computer shortcut icon. We place the pointer over the My Computer icon, then double-click. This opens the My Computer window and a My Computer button appears on the taskbar. Windows 95 displays a button here for any active or minimized window. But before we learn how to use this window, let's discuss some basic attributes of Windows. Across the top is the title bar. In the left corner is a program icon for the window that opens and the title of the window. Since we have the My Computer window open, it's shown here. The icon beside the title is called the Control button. We click the Control button and a menu called the Control menu appears. The commands inside all relate to the window. The first command is Restore. It is dimmed and unavailable when the window is already in a restored position, like it is now. Clicking on an unavailable command won't do anything. As we place the pointer over a command, it is highlighted. To select any command, we highlight, then click on them. The Restore command makes the window larger because the default size is small. It's available when the window is maximized over the entire desktop. The Move command turns our pointer into a four-headed arrow, so we can reposition a restored window. The Size command allows us to resize a single side of a restored window. The Minimize command deactivates the window, so all we see is the Windows button on the taskbar. The Maximize command is only available when the window is in the smaller restored size. It maximizes the restored window, so it takes up the full window space. The Close command closes the open window. When a window is closed, its button will no longer appear on the taskbar. The key combination of Alt plus F4 will close any window without selecting Close from this menu. With the control menu open, let's minimize and maximize the window. Right now, our window is restored, only taking up a portion of the desktop. We click the Maximize command, and the window fills the whole desktop. We click the Control button again, and then choose Restore. The window shrinks. Now we click the Control button and select Move. The Move pointer turns into a four-headed arrow. We place the mouse over the blue title bar and drag the mouse anywhere on the desktop. When we release the mouse, the window shifts position. Now let's move the window without using the Move command. We place the pointer over the title bar and drag it to a new position. This is faster than selecting Move. Let's click the Control button. Then select Size. The pointer turns into a four-headed arrow. When we place it over a side of the window and drag, it turns into a two-headed arrow. Once we release the mouse, the side is repositioned. There's one more command in the control menu we haven't tried. But this time, instead of opening the control menu by clicking the Control button, we'll use the key combination of Alt plus the space bar. We press and hold the Alt key, then the space bar, and the control menu opens. Now we choose Close. The window closes and its button is removed from the taskbar. Let's double-click the Recycle Bin shortcut icon. Its window appears. On the title bar, we see Recycle Bin and its control button. We click the button and see the same control menu we were just working with because every single window in Windows 95 uses this. Let's close the control menu by pressing the Escape key. Now we'll learn about the three icons on the right side of the title bar. The first one has a straight line. It's used to minimize the window. We click it and the window falls inside the Recycle Bin button on the taskbar. To reopen this window, we click its button on the taskbar. The window restores itself. The next icon over is used to maximize and restore the window. Since our window is in a smaller restored size, the icon will maximize our window. We click it and a window takes over the entire desktop. Looking in the upper right corner, we see the icon is different now. It represents the restored size. We click it and the window gets smaller. The last icon on the right is the Close button. Clicking it will close the window, just like selecting Close from the control menu, or pressing Alt plus F4. We won't use this right now. Instead, we'll close the window by double-clicking the Recycle Bin's control button in the left corner. The window closes and its button on the taskbar disappears.
You may pause the tape now to practice on your computer.
Let's review what we have covered in this chapter. We learned what the desktop, shortcuts, and the taskbar do.
We discussed how to use the mouse, then opened a window and learned how to manipulate it. Let's reopen the My Computer window and learn how to use it.
We double-click on the My Computer icon and its window appears. Let's maximize this window by clicking the Maximize button in the right corner. This window has a menu bar with 4 menus, as well as icons for our A drive, C drive, and D drive. Everyone should have an A drive for floppy disks, and a C drive, which is our hard drive. D drives are usually reserved for a CD-ROM. And you may see a B drive or others for additional floppy, tape, network, or hard drives. It depends on the hardware installed. My Computer also shows our folders, the control panel, and printers. Again, more may appear depending on what's installed on the computer. Before we use this window, let's discuss menus. Menus contain commands used in a window. We open a menu by clicking it, pressing Alt plus the letter underlined in the menu,
Or by pressing the F10 key. This will highlight the menu bar for us. Then we can use the arrow keys to select the menu and press Enter to open it.
We click the File menu to open it. The only command available right now is Close. To see the next menu, all we need to do is move the pointer over it, or press the arrow key. Let's press the right arrow key. The Edit menu is selected. Now we move the pointer over the View menu, then the Help menu. Each is opened as the pointer passes over it. Also notice a description of the highlighted command is placed at the bottom of the window on the status bar. To close a menu, we can select one of its commands. Press the Escape key twice, or click the menu bar. We click the menu bar, and the menu closes. Now let's start working with the window. First, we'll view the properties of our C drive. We place the pointer on the C icon, then right-click the mouse. As we mentioned earlier, right-clicking usually opens a shortcut menu. This is the shortcut menu for our hard drive. If we were to right-click a different part, like the control panel or A drive, we'd get a different shortcut menu. To select a command, we can click it like we've done before, or press the letter underlined in the command. We can also use the arrow keys to highlight the command, then press Enter. We press the R key to select Properties. The Properties dialog box appears. This dialog box is composed of 2 categories. Windows organizes them with tabs. The tabs in this dialog box are General and Tools. Notice how the General tab pulls away since it is selected. The General Properties displays the amount of used and free space on our hard drive. Windows 95 displays the information in a text and graphical format. Now let's select the Tools tab by clicking on it. The tab pulls away to show it is selected. Here we can check our hard drive for errors, the backup status, and defragmentation status. To run any of the tools, we click on the related button. We can close the box by clicking Cancel.
In most dialog boxes, there is a big difference between selecting OK and the Cancel button.
Selecting the OK button will implement all changes made in a dialog box.
We click the Cancel button when we don't want to make any changes.
To view the folders and files on our hard drive, we double-click the C icon. To see this window better, we click its Maximize button. Several folders and files appear. To view the contents of one of them, we double-click on it. Let's view the contents of the Windows folder. We double-click this folder and see the contents sorted in alphabetical order, with folders first, then files. We'll display a font by double-clicking the Fonts folder. To see this better, we maximize the window. There are so many fonts that they still won't fit in the window. By looking at the status bar, we see there are 307 fonts. Depending on what's installed to the computer, some of us may show more or less. This is an excellent time to demonstrate using a Windows scroll bars. Every window with more content than what fits in the window will have a scroll bar so we can view the rest of it. Sometimes we'll have a scroll bar on the right and on the bottom. This window has one scroll bar on the right. We can scroll up or down a line at a time by clicking the up or down arrows at the top and bottom of the scroll bar. We click the down scroll button. We see the scroll bar start to move down. A faster way to scan the window is to place the pointer over the scroll box, then drag it up or down. To see a font, we double-click one. Let's click Braggadocio. We see the typeface name, file size, and version. By scrolling down the window, we see sizes. And if we want, we can even print this window's contents by clicking the Print button. We won't print now. Instead, we'll close this window by clicking on the Done button. To close the Fonts window, we double-click its Control button. This takes us back to the Windows box, which we close by double-clicking its Control button. Now we're back in the C window, but we close it too so we see the My Computer window. Right now our window is displaying our computer's contents with large icons. Let's display the information in this window differently. We choose View from the menu bar. Notice a black dot precedes the large icons command to show our current view. We click on small icons and the view changes. To display more information about our window contents, we choose View, then Details. Now we see a name column, plus type, total size, and free space. To change views quickly, we use the My Computer toolbar. We display it by opening the View menu, then selecting Toolbar. A toolbar appears under the menu bar. If we wanted to get rid of the toolbar, all we'd have to do is select Toolbar from the View menu again. We want to keep the tools. These tools are icons we click to select menu commands. We can find out what each one does by placing the pointer over it. Keep in mind we're not clicking anything, just holding the pointer over the tool. We place the pointer over the first tool, containing the text My Computer, and a small box pops up with the text Go to a different folder. This box is called a tooltip, and the text Go to a different folder tells us exactly what the tool does. All the toolbars in Windows 95 will have tooltips, and most other window applications also provide them. After working with Windows for a little while, we'll begin to recognize many of the tools and won't need to rely on the tooltips as often. The Cut, Copy, and Paste tools are all very common, and we'll see them in practically every toolbar. The last four tools on the toolbar are for commands found in the View menu. Notice the last one, Details, is highlighted. The next from the right is for List View. We click it and see a list. Then there is small icons and large icons. Let's click the Large Icons tool to change the view back that way. To see a different folder other than the one for My Computer, we click the Go to a different folder tool. Because a down arrow appeared at the right end of the tool, we know it's a drop-down list. And a list has appeared. This list is in a special order. First is the desktop, because it's the first place we see files stored. Next, we see My Computer. It's indented a little to show us that My Computer is accessed from the desktop. Below My Computer are its major components. Each is further indented below My Computer. The recycle bin appears on the bottom. Notice it's indented under the desktop like My Computer, since it also comes from the desktop. To see the contents of any of these, we just click on one. Since we have been viewing My Computer, it is highlighted. Let's look at the contents of the control panel by clicking it. Our window changes to the control panel as though we selected it from the Start menu.
You may pause the tape now.
Let's review what we have covered in this chapter. We opened the My Computer window from the shortcut on the desktop, then discuss how to use the menus and their commands.
We looked at some components of My Computer and saw how each window had its own properties. We looked at different views and discussed the toolbar.
One of the strengths of Windows 95 is the ability to multitask. This simply means we can perform several different activities at the same time.
We can be working on a letter in Word and at the same time have a contact manager, a database, and a fax program opened.
Switching from window to window is as simple as restoring it from the taskbar. We'll do quite a bit of this in the coming exercises.
Now you are ready to start having some fun. The Start button lets us access programs and files. Let's try it.
The control panel is still open, but that's okay because Windows 95 has multitasking capabilities, meaning that we can have several windows open at the same time and switch from task to task. To demonstrate how to switch from task to task, we're going to minimize this window so it will keep working. Then we place the pointer over Start and click. This releases at least 7 icons: Programs, Documents, Settings, Find, Help, Run, and Shutdown. The Programs icon gives us access to all of the programs on our computer, including a Microsoft DOS prompt. The Documents icon lists the 15 most recently edited and saved documents. Settings gives us access to hardware settings and customization tools. Find locates programs or files for us. Help opens the Windows 95 Help area. Run is one of the methods we can use to open files. Shutdown opens the shutdown window with options to shut down the computer, restart the computer, or restart the computer in MS-DOS mode. First, let's highlight the icons using the arrow keys. We press the up arrow and see Shutdown highlighted. When we press Enter, the screen dims, and the Shutdown Windows dialog box appears. We can escape from this by clicking the No button, the Close button, or by using the key combination of Alt plus F4. We press Alt plus F4, and the shutdown box goes away. Let's open the Start menu again by clicking it. The Start menu opens. To select any of the icons here, we place the pointer over it. Then click. We can also press the underlined letter, such as P for Programs, D for Documents, S for Settings, F for Find, H for Help, R for Run, and U for Shutdown. Let's place the pointer over Programs. Notice we do not have to click. Another menu listing our programs opens automatically. Many programs will have a black arrow at the right end, like Accessories does. When we see this, it indicates to us there will be another menu appearing. We place the pointer on Accessories and see a flyout menu. Some of the accessories have arrows indicating another flyout. This is common, but we don't want to open an accessory right now. So we move the pointer back to the Programs bar. Now we can highlight other Start categories. We place the pointer over Documents. This menu is empty since we haven't saved any files yet. Take advantage of the Documents section. It's light speeds ahead of opening a file by going to Programs, then opening the program, then opening the right file. Now let's slowly run the pointer down the menu options. We see what's available in Settings and Find, and also see that Help, Run, and Shutdown don't have additional menus. Let's take a quick look at Help. We click it and see the Help Topics dialog box. Help can be accessed from any window by pressing F1. With the Contents tab selected, we see topics we can display by highlighting them, then clicking the Display button, or by just double-clicking on one of them. Now we click the Index tab. This is good for typing in a word. Let's type in close. With every letter, various phrases are highlighted in the list below. Right now, the Close button is selected. To display its help information, we click the Display button. We can continue to do this until the right information is displayed. For now, we click the Cancel button twice to exit Help and go back to the desktop. For anyone using a Microsoft Natural Keyboard, now is a good time to discuss the benefits. The Microsoft Natural Keyboard has a set of Microsoft Windows flag keys. One is on the lower left side of the keyboard, in between the Control and Alt keys. The other is on the lower right side of the keyboard. We use these keys to open the Start menu. We select the Start menu by pressing one of the flag keys. To select one of the Start menu's items, we can use the arrow keys or the mouse pointer. But we won't do this now. Instead, we click the desktop to close the menu. The other special key on the Natural Keyboard has a picture of a pull-down menu and a pointer. We use this key to display a shortcut menu for the open window. Looking at the right side of the Microsoft Natural Keyboard, we find the key with a pull-down menu and a pointer on it. We press it, and the shortcut menu for the desktop appears. Press Escape to close this menu. Try this key in different windows.
Let's go back to the Start menu and open a program.
We click the Start button. Go to Programs, Accessories, then click Paint. This starts the Paint program. If the window isn't maximized, we can maximize it now. Before we begin painting, notice the program's name is displayed on the taskbar. Okay, let's make something real quick. Notice a menu bar across the top of the window and a toolbar on the left. To see what a tool does, we just place the pointer over it and read the tooltip. Right now, the pencil tool is active. We know it is because the cursor looks like a pencil and because the pencil tool on the toolbar is selected. And by the toolbox shown on the bottom, we know we'll have a black line because there's a black with a white background. To change the color, we click a different box. Let's click orange. To draw with the pencil, we hold down the left mouse button and drag. An orange line appears. To select a different tool, we click one. Let's click the Eraser tool, located second down on the left. We drag the eraser over the line, and it is erased. Let's add text. We click on the Text tool with the capital A on it. Then move the pointer to the window and drag until we've made a large text box. Now open the View menu and select Text Toolbar. We can click the drop-down list for fonts to select a new font, or click the drop-down for size and change size. We also have tools to make the text bold, italic, and underlined. We click the drop-down for size, then scroll down the list and select size 36. Now we click inside the text box and begin to type. We'll type apples for sale. Notice our text is orange since orange is selected below. To make the text a new color, we just click on one. We'll select red. We press the Enter key twice to move down 2 lines. Then tab once and type 4 for $1. Now we select the pencil tool and do our best to draw an apple. Then we reposition the mouse to draw a leaf. Then a stem. To add color to the objects, we select the Fill with Color tool. Click the color we want from the palette, then click the area we want to color. For our final touch, we select the Airbrush tool. Click white on the color palette and add some shine to the apple. Let's save our work. We select the File menu, then the Save command. Since we haven't named this yet, the Save As dialog box appears. Before naming the file, we select where we want it saved to. Notice the Save In box is going to save it in fonts. We don't want it here, so we click the drop-down list for Save In. Then click the C drive. The contents of our C drive appears inside the window. We can save the file anywhere we want, but it's always a good idea to save it somewhere we can easily remember to find it. We find the Program Files folder. Then double-click on it to select it. We find Accessories, double-click it, and are now satisfied with the location.
One of the benefits of Windows 95 is that we can name our files just about anything we want. We can use letters, numbers, or blank spaces.
And what's amazing is that Windows 95 allows over 200 characters for the title. We really benefit from this flexibility because it can make figuring out what a file stores so simple.
Another thing to note is we don't have to add an extension. Windows 95 will add the proper extensions automatically, although it doesn't display them.
Name files according to what they contain. It's easier to figure out what a file called Windows 95 Introduction Tutorial contains compared to one called Script. Now we enter the file name by clicking inside the file name box. Notice how clicking one time just places a cursor there. The word Untitled is still there, and we'd have to delete it with the Delete key. To easily get rid of this title and enter a new name at the same time, we double-click. Watch how the text is selected. Now we type our name and the text will be automatically deleted. We type apples for sale sign. Because this is Windows-based, we don't need to enter an extension. The Save As type takes care of that for us. Let's look at the Save As type box. Notice our file will be saved as a 256 color bitmap. We click the drop-down list and see other options. This dialog box teaches us a lot more than just how to save a file created in Paint. It teaches us how to save files in different locations, how to enter file names, and save them as different types of files.
Learning to save files as different types is very useful. One of the major reasons it is so useful is because we often save files in one application, then open them in others, maybe on a different computer using a totally different program.
A good example of this is saving word processing files. We may have created a file using Word for Windows 95 and later want to open the file in WordPerfect. The Save As Type option will allow us to save the Word file in the WordPerfect format of our choice.
Each program gives us different choices. Paint is a very generic drawing application, so we don't have as many options under Save As Type. Other graphics programs will recognize many types such as bitmap images, GIF, JPEG, and more. It just depends on the program.
We'll save this as a 256 color bitmap. To close the drop-down list, we click the drop-down arrow from above. But before we close this dialog box, there are a couple other things we can learn. First of all, notice the Save button is highlighted with a dark border around the button. If this is the button we want to select, we don't have to click on it. We can press Enter, and that works just like clicking the button.
Frequently, we will have a dialog box with an OK button and a Cancel button. When OK is highlighted, we can press the Enter key, and it's the same as clicking OK.
The same thing goes to Yes and No buttons. If Yes is selected and we want Yes, we can just press Enter. Likewise, if No is selected and we want No, we can press Enter. This is a really basic concept, but lots of people never even think about it. We press Enter and the file is saved, as if we clicked the Save button. The title bar reflects this, and so does the taskbar. We're finished using Paint for now. But instead of closing the program, we'll just minimize it. We click the Minimize button in the upper right corner and see the desktop again.
You may pause the tape now.
Let's review what we've covered in this chapter. We discussed the Start button and its menu, learned about two special keys on the Microsoft Natural Keyboard, and opened the Paint program through the Start menu.
We used tools to create a bitmap file and discussed naming files. Then we learned how to specify where they are saved and how to save them as different types of files.
We also learned how to take advantage of the highlighted button in a window.
The Windows Explorer is similar to the My Computer window in the sense that they both show us what's on the hard drive.
If you are familiar with Windows 3.1, you'll find the Explorer very similar to the File Manager.
The Windows Explorer lets us seriously look at the contents of our computer and many other things. There are a couple of ways to start the Explorer. The most obvious way is to click the Start button. Go to Programs, then click the Windows Explorer. But we don't want to do it this way. So we'll click on the Start button to close the Start menu. Now we'll use a quick way to open the Explorer. We place the pointer over the Start button, then right-click. A small menu appears with Open, Explore, and Find. We click on the Explore and the Exploring window appears. The window is divided into two parts. The left side is labeled All Folders and displays the directory structure of our computer. The right side is labeled Contents of and shows the files and subdirectories of the folder that's selected on the left. Before we start to get serious here, let's maximize the window so we can see things better. Now we can get to work. Our first exercise will be to find our Apples for Sale file. We could use Find from the Start menu, but it's faster to use from here. We open the Tools menu. Place the pointer over Find and see a flyout menu appear to the right. We click on Files or Folders and the Find All Files window appears. This is the same window we'd see if we selected Find from the Start menu. The window has a menu bar, 3 tabs, and 3 buttons on the right. The Name and Location tab is currently selected. A cursor appears inside the named box, so we enter the name of our file, Apples for Sale. Then we click the drop-down arrow for Look In. This is very important since it tells Find where we want to search. We select the C drive. Notice the Include Subfolders option is selected. This is good because we want to find files in addition to any directories. Now let's click the Find Now button. This search will take a while because Find will show everything that resembles this file. There will be files with apples, for, and sale in the name. Windows pulls up every file it thinks we may be looking for. As files are found, they are listed at the bottom of the window with their name, what folder they're in, their size, type, and last date modified. To see this better, let's maximize the window. So many files are found that we need to scroll through them. Oh, look here! The Apples for Sale file has been found. But because of the ellipsis at the end of the path, we know we don't see the entire location. To see the entire location, we place the pointer over the In Folder category header. When we move the pointer to the sides of the header, our pointer turns into a 4-headed resizing arrow. We simply drag the header to the right until the column is wide enough to see the entire path. We'll know if it's wide enough once we release the mouse. Good, we can see the entire location. This can be done to any of the columns. We can open this file from the window if we want by double-clicking on the icon preceding the file name. However, double-clicking now results in a dialog box letting us know we can't open the file because it may already be open. This is the case. Apples for Sale is open. We press Enter to close the dialog box. Before we return to the Explorer window, let's look at the other 2 Find tabs. We click the Date Modified tab. This allows us to find files based on the dates they were created or modified. Let's click the radio button beside the Between option. This automatically selects the Find All Files Created or Modified option instead of all files. Now we'll enter today's date in the first box, since we just created the Apples file. We double-click the first date box, then type today's date, entering digits for the month, a slash, the day, a slash, and the year. Now we click the Find Now button. Our bitmap file appears. Finally, we click the Advanced tab. The first box lets us designate what type of file we're looking for. All files and folders appears here by default. We click the drop-down list, then select Bitmap Image, since we know it's our file type. To go to the next box, we can press the Tab key. Now we can enter any text or phrase that we know is in the file. This can be a really handy feature when all we remember are bits and pieces about the file. Let's type Apple. We can tab to the last boxes and enter size if we want. But we won't. We click the Find Now button and our file is found. There's a very important point we need to make. Before we say what it is, let's select the Name and Location tab and look at the files found at the bottom.
The point is that this search is cumulative. Find uses all the criteria we've entered to find our file. By the time we've entered data into all 3 of the tabs, Find was able to narrow the results to a single file.
If we want to begin a new search, we should click the New Search button. This clears all the criteria we've entered for the find. We're finished using Find. We could close the window, but instead let's minimize it. Now we see the Exploring window again. Since we know the file is in Accessories, let's scroll up the list of folders until we see Program Files. We double-click on Program Files, and the yellow folder icon opens. We know we want to see what's in Accessories, so we look to the right side and double-click the Accessories folder. The right side of the window displays the contents of Accessories. Our file is listed here. We want to move the Apples for Sale file into a different folder. Our first step will be to create the folder. To create a new folder, we open the File menu, then place the pointer over New. A flyout menu appears. We want to create a folder, so we click Folder. A new folder appears in the right side of the window. It's labeled as New Folder and is presently highlighted. This tells us we can rename it now. Let's type VIA Graphics Learn Folder. Then press Enter. The file is named accordingly. To move the Apples for Sale file into this folder, we place the pointer over the Apples for Sale file. Then drag it over the VIA Graphics Learn folder and release. The file is placed inside the folder. To verify this, we double-click the VIA Graphics Learn folder and its contents appear on the right side of the window. We're progressing well. But we don't want our VIA Graphics folder listed below Accessories. Moving it is easy. We focus on the left side of the window. Place the pointer over the VIA Graphics Learn folder, then drag it up to the C drive. Once the folder appears over the C drive, we release the mouse. The VIA Graphics Learn folder is now directly under the C drive and no longer a part of Accessories. Our next exercise will be to transfer the files from our learning disk to the VIA Graphics Learn folder. First, place the learning disk into the floppy drive. Ours is A. Now we find the same floppy drive on the left side of the window and double-click on it. The contents of the learning disk appear on the right. We can transfer one file at a time to the VIA Graphics Learning folder by dragging files from the right to the VIA Graphics Learning folder on the left. But since we have more than just one file, we'll use a faster way. We focus on the right side of the window. Hold down the Control key, then click the learning file to select it. Then Quick Keys. And finally, the Win95 tip file. Now we can release the Control key. The files are still selected. To copy them to the VIA Graphics Learning folder, we drag the mouse from the left side over to the VIA Graphics Learning folder. With the VIA Graphics Learning folder selected, we release the mouse. A dialog box appears showing each file being copied to the folder. Use the Control key to pick and choose what files to select. To select all files, hold down the Shift key, then click the first and last file. Every file in the middle is selected this way.
An exercise we may want to perform from time to time would be to place a program in the Startup menu.
First, we need to find the Startup folder. To do this, we focus on the left side of the window. Find the Windows folder, then double-click it. We look at the contents of the Windows folder. Find the Start menu, then double-click it. We double-click Program, then find Startup and double-click. The right side of the window shows us what's in the Startup menu. We're going to place the VIA Graphics Learning folder in the Startup menu. So we scroll up the left side of the window until we find the folder. Then we drag it down the page as far as we can. Even though we come to the bottom of the window, we hold the folder there and it will keep dragging down. Once the folder is over the startup folder, we release the mouse. The VIA Graphics Learn folder appears on the right. To see the result of this change, we need to restart the computer. So we click the Start button, then select Shut Down Computer. In the dialog box, we select Restart the Computer, and since the Yes button is highlighted, we'll press Enter to do this. The computer starts to reboot. But an error occurs because the learning disk is inside the floppy drive. We take the disk out, then press a key on the keyboard. Now the system boots up. We're taken back to the exploring window we were using. Let's minimize this to go to the desktop. We see a window containing the VIA Graphics Learn folder. Inside are the contents of the folder. To open any one of them, we simply double-click on the icon. We'll do this later. For right now, we want to learn more about the Explorer. So we close this window by double-clicking its control button. Then go to the taskbar and click the Exploring button. Before we go any further, let's notice that the Find window and Paint were not reopened when the computer restarted. The same toolbar we used in the My Computer window can be used in Explorer. View it by selecting the Toolbar command from the View menu. Let's review what we've covered in this chapter. We discussed what Explore does and opened it. We used Find, then created a folder, moved files inside it, then moved the folder.
We moved the folder again, but this time into the Start menu so it appears on the desktop when Windows 95 starts.
We can use the Exploring window to view a file by double-clicking the file. The file may be one from Word, Excel, or any other program that's installed on our computer.
Another great use for opening files in Explorer is to install them on our computer. Here's an example. Let's say we subscribe to an online service like America Online, and we've used America Online to download a program from the Internet. We can extract that program file by opening it with My Computer, install or run program. But the fastest way is with Explorer.
We simply find the program file with Explorer, then double-click on it. If the program is self-extracting, it will automatically load onto our computer. We find the VIA Graphics Learning folder and double-click it. Now we look to the right side of the window and find the file Learning. We know this file is a Word document because of the Word icon. But because the extensions aren't displayed by Windows 95, recognizing every icon can become cumbersome. To view file extensions, we choose View, then the Options command. This dialog box has two tabs. Let's select the File Types tab. A list of registered file types appear. The type that's selected has details at the bottom of the window. These details show extensions. This tab is used for adding, removing, and editing new types of files. Let's select the View tab. We click the radio button beside Show All Files, Then make sure the Hide MS-DOS file extensions for file types that are registered option is not selected. We can deselect the option by clicking the box. Now we choose OK and see the file extensions for all files supported by programs installed to our computer. To remove the extensions, we open the View menu. Select Options. Then click beside Hide files of these types, and the other Hide option below. When done, we click OK. Things go back to normal. To open a file through the Explorer, we just double-click on it. Let's double-click on Learning. The document is opened in Word for Windows, since that's what it was created with. Notice the taskbar shows a Word button with our file name to the side. Since it's hard to see the title, let's place our pointer over the Word button in the taskbar. A tooltip appears with the program and file name. The learning file was created to be read at your convenience. So when you want to read it, just use the scroll bars or the arrow keys. Probably the easiest way to read this document is to maximize the window, then just use the page up and page down keys. We press page down and can easily read the next window full of text. Feel free to do whatever you want with it. Let's go back to the Explorer window by clicking the Exploring button on the taskbar. We want to rename the Quick Keys file. We click the file, then right-click the mouse. A shortcut menu appears. We select the Rename command, and a text box appears around the file title. Once we begin typing, the text will replace the highlighted text. We'll name it Quicker Keystrokes. Then press Enter, and the file is renamed. We can't rename files that are currently open. Now let's open the Win95 tip file. We gave this file a doc extension, so Explorer thinks it's a Word document, but it wasn't. We double-click the file and see the status bar of Word converting the file before opening it. We wait a moment and the file appears. We can now scroll through the file to read it.
This Tips and Tricks file contains some great ideas. Let's set up our printer so we can print the file.
Windows 95 makes it fast and easy to configure and use the printer. If you just upgraded to Windows 95 from Windows 3.1, Windows 95 automatically moved the printer.
For everyone else, let's see how it's done.
To install a new printer, we use Settings. We click the Start button and highlight Settings. From the flyout menu that appears to the right, we select Printers. The printer's window appears. Let's maximize it so we can see better. If you've already installed a printer, you will find an icon for your printer in this window. We only see the Add Printer icon since we haven't installed one yet. We double-click the Add Printer icon and see the Add Printer wizard. This wizard makes installing our printer simple. To continue, we select Next. Since on a network, we're given the option to install a local or network printer. With Local Printer selected, we click Next. Windows 95 supplies many popular printers. We want to install a Panasonic KXP 4400. So we scroll the manufacturer's list until we find the one we're using. Ours is Panasonic. We click it, and the printer's box to the right displays a long list of available printers. We find the one we'll be using, then click it. Ours will be the KXP 4400. So we select it. Then choose Next. A list of available ports appears. The LPT1 printer port is selected by default. This is the one we're using, so we press Enter to go to the next window. Now we're able to enter a different printer name if we want. Let's change the default printer name to My Printer by typing this in. Now looking at the bottom of the window, we have the option to make this our default printer. Default meaning the one used automatically when we print something. We select Yes by clicking the radio button in front of Yes. Then press Enter. The next window lets us print a test page. This is a good idea, so we make sure Yes is selected. Then click Finish. A My Printer icon in the printer's window and a dialog box appears, letting us know the printer test page is completed. At the same time, a page of text is printed from our printer. If the page printed correctly, we click the Yes button at the bottom of the dialog box. Ours did, so we click Yes. We're finished with this, so let's minimize the printer's window. Now we're ready to print the tips file. Since the Microsoft Word window is in front of us, we look at its toolbar and click the Print tool, located fourth from the left. A copy of the document is printed. Windows 95 makes basic system housekeeping tasks like formatting disks a cinch. Let's format a floppy disk. We remove our learning disk from the floppy drive. Then insert an unformatted disk. We minimize the Word window and see the Explorer window. We look at the All Folders side of the window and place the pointer over the 3.5 floppy A icon. We right-click the mouse and see the shortcut menu. Among the commands is one for formatting. We select this and the Format 3.5 floppy A dialog box appears. The first box is for capacity. We're formatting a low-density disk, so make sure 720 kilobytes is selected. Now we select our format type. We want to do a full format, so we click on the radio button beside this option. The last group of options are other options, so we don't need to select any of these unless we want to. Since we don't want to label our floppy, we skip all of these and click the Start button to format our disk. This takes a minute. As soon as the format is complete, a Format Summary dialog box appears. We look it over, then click the Close button. At this time, we could format another if we wanted. We don't, so we click the Close button. As we become more comfortable at our computers, we're going to want to add new applications.
Windows 95 offers different installation methods. One way is to use Run from the Start menu. Another way is Add Remove Programs from the Control Panel.
Let's use Run first. We take the formatted disk out of the floppy drive and replace it with the learning disk. Then we click the Start button and Run. The Run box appears. In the command line, we enter where the file can be found. With a:\vlearn.exe entered already, we click OK. Then choose the Install button and click OK to accept the default directory. A window appears showing the installation progress, and we choose OK at the successfully copied prompt. A VIA Graphics folder now appears on the C drive, just like the VIA Graphics Learning folder we created earlier. Now let's use Add Remove Programs. We click the Start button, go to Settings, then select Control Panel. We find the Add Remove Program icon and double-click it. The Add Remove Programs property dialog box appears. We install a program by clicking Install and remove a program by selecting one from the box below, then clicking the Add Remove button. We'll click the Install button. To install something, all we do is place the disk in our floppy drive, or if we're installing from a CD-ROM, We place it in our CD-ROM drive. Then we click Next and follow the on-screen instructions. This is the best way to install new software. But since we don't have anything to install right now, we click the Cancel button twice and return to the control panel.
Installing applications is an important part of using the Windows 95 system. However, we need to know how to remove applications too.
We can delete applications from the Add Remove Programs window, the My Computer window, and the Explorer window. The best way to remove them is by using the Recycle bin. We maximize the Explorer and find the VIA Graphics folder we just installed. To send this to the Recycle bin, we place the pointer over the VIA Graphics folder, then drag it to the Recycle bin. When the Recycle bin is highlighted, we release the mouse. This places the folder and all its contents in the Recycle bin. Notice the Recycle bin's icon looks like a trash can full of papers. We double-click the Recycle bin and see the contents of the VIA Graphics folder. Select the Recycle bin in the left pane and right-click the mouse. Notice the command to empty the Recycle bin. Our files will be deleted if we select this command. Right now, we can recover them. We do this by opening the Edit menu and selecting Undo Delete. Or we can select the files we want to restore. Click the right mouse button and select Restore. The folder is moved back to the hard drive.
The Recycle bin prevents us from accidentally deleting an important file, but sometimes we may not want to use the Recycle bin for deletions.
In this case, we can immediately delete by pressing the Delete key or by holding down the Shift key as we drag the files to the Recycle bin. We find the VIA Graphics folder by double-clicking the C drive first. Then click the VIA Graphics folder. Then click the Learning file and press Delete. A dialog box appears to confirm our deletion. We press Y for yes, and the file is gone. We can undelete this by selecting Undo Delete from the Edit menu. But we won't. Let's reselect the VIA Graphics folder and remove the folder using the Shift key and the Recycle bin. We place the pointer over the VIA Graphics folder. Hold down the Shift key, then drag the folder to the Recycle bin. We release the mouse, then the Shift key. The folder is removed. Let's restore the window to its smaller size and use another way. Now we find the VIA Graphics Learning folder that's inside the Start menu. Double-click the Start menu folder. Then find Startup with the VIA Graphics Learning folder inside. Finally, once we find it, we click it. Press the Shift key down and drag it to the Recycle bin icon on the desktop. The Recycle bin shortcut and Recycle bin in the Explorer window do the same thing. Now we'll right-click on the Recycle bin and select Empty Recycle bin. Then Yes at the prompt. Now let's close the windows on the desktop. Once we're at the desktop, we press Alt plus F4 and the Shutdown dialog box appears. With Shut down the computer selected, we press Enter. Windows 95 asks us to wait while the system shuts down and lets us know when it's safe to turn off the computer. We turn off the power switch to our monitor first, then for our computer, and we end up where we started.
Let's review what we've covered in this chapter. We opened files from the Explorer window, renamed a file, and showed file extensions.
We installed a printer and printed a copy of one of our files. We formatted a disk, learned to install using Run and Add Remove programs, and used the Recycle bin.
That concludes this tutorial, Learning Windows 95 Introduction.
We've covered a lot of information in this tutorial. If you feel the need to review, simply rewind the tape and review that section again until you're comfortable with the material. Our worldwide website address is http://www.viagraphics.com. Send your questions or comments on this tutorial via email to admin@viagraphics.com. For more information about ViaGraphics training products, email us info@viagraphics.com. Subject information. For sales questions or to place an order, email sales@viagraphics.com.
We at ViaGraphics would like to thank you for choosing our company for your software training needs.
Remember, if you plan to learn about Windows 95 or any other computer software, there's no better way than through video training with ViaGraphics.